visit yard. Benz, Lexus, and Jaguar. Yeah, man, this is Pump Stand straight out of Antigua. Big it up, Lady Leo. You hear?
What time you need it? Okay. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm supposed to know it. He does it, but you're supposed to know what it was, because every week it's the same thing.
No,
Everything is just always that same little problem. You know what?
This is Shazam, proud sister
Someone
of
keeps pushing
Lady
that
Leo,
wire down, you know.
host of the Community Information Show. Tune in every Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. Lady Leo also hosts the Children's Cultural Film Club every second Saturday of the month. Children £4, adults free. For all the family.
Every time you
For
come
more
in,
information,
it sounds
visit
tinny. Put it a little bit.
goldbodies.co.uk.
This black one here.
That same row on the same channel as your face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pull it out.
Put it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
What should you do? Where her face is from?
Yellow. All the way up. Yellow.
Just put it a little bit. That's what I've done. The point we can put it out because you know
We're gonna go now.
what? No, it's always pushed up. What way up? The same way this. Oh, the plugging in.
Greetings. How you doing? North, east, south, and west of the world. You're in tune to www.blessradio.co.uk, and this is the Community Information Show with Lady Leo. First of all, we're going to say thank you to the Most High, the Omnipotent One, the All-Seeing Eye, our Creator, Mother Earth, Divine Mother, Anna Ray, the Supreme One, and all the names that we call you by. I want to thank you so much for the wisdom, health, strength, knowledge, food, drink that you have lavished onto your people. I want to thank you for another day. I want to thank you for another time. Also, I want to give thanks to the engineers and the management of blessradio.co.uk, and also to all the brothers and sisters, the DJs on the air. And most of all, I want to say thank you to you, wherever you are, whichever part of the world you're tapped in. I would like to say thank you for your listening ears, and I hope you have a good time listening today. Today, as you know, it's a community information show. For those of you who locked on for the very, very first time, the show is about just sharing community information, letting you know what services are about, letting you know what businesses and things like that. And I want to apologise. You might hear me wheezing a bit. I've not been feeling very well this week, and yesterday and today it's been a very tight day. But I thought, let me just come in and do the show. We have got someone in that we're going to be interviewing in a moment, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But where have I been since last week, Friday, when I last spoke to you? Where have I been? I've only been to one event because, like I said to you, I haven't been feeling very well. So I've been to one event, and that was a kinesiology event. Now, kinesiology is the study of the mechanisms of the body muscles and how it relates to our emotions, okay? I bet you didn't know that happens. Yes, but people can tell how we're feeling, what's going on for us by just looking at studying our muscles. So that was a very good insight. I went there last night, and I want to say hi to Kaneshi, who was the facilitator for that, and for all those who took part. And I also want to say hi to Sister Levi, who I went down there with, to the kinesiology. Now, there is some more kinesiology dates, and I'll give you that in the show. But for the moment, I'm going to switch over to my guest, because my guest hasn't got long. Being a busy man doing community work, he hasn't got long for today. So I would like to make sure that I give him enough time to tell you what he's going to be doing. And he also said to me he's not feeling very well, he's got a bit of a sore throat. I said to him, I hope you're going to do a lot of talking today because I'm not feeling very well. Then he said, no, you should do all the talking because he's got a sore throat. So between the two of us, we're going to batter through and give you some information. So I want to start by saying hi and welcome to Astehmari.
Give thanks, Lady Leo, Hashima, respect to you. And don't worry, even with a sore throat, I can rock the mic, it's no problem. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, yes. So you wanted to talk to us and tell us all a bit about your organisation. But before you talk about your organisation, tell us about what you've been doing over the years before you came to this.
Okay, well, that is that's a good story. We could spend the time to do that. In summary, the work, if I just say the work I'm doing now is in education.
Yes.
And it is in education from an African place of being.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we came to that through one path of studying cultural arts and cultural ways of learning, and another path of working with research around education and community development.
Mm-hmm.
And then those two things met, where on the research side, we're seeing how badly our children are doing in the standard system schooling.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, we're seeing how easy it can be to bring deeper learning and right knowledge if it's done in a natural way. Right, so the things come together to say we do need a specific way of doing learning, our own, what I would call a pedagogy, our own approach to learning. So that's in summary, that's how it comes together. Along the way, there's different entities, schools of unified learning, some people may know this.
Yeah.
Chemit Distribution, which is a magazine distribution business I was involved in. People Science Intelligence Unit, a research company. And this work here at the front now is Abundant Centres UK Development
Mm-hmm.
Trust,
Mm-hmm.
and the other collectives around this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about this project.
Okay, so
What made you think about putting it together? Because I know that looking through the pamphlet, there's a lot of research and stuff done to put it together. So,
well, what you're looking at, and for the listeners, what we've got in our hands, and if the camera's on, it's a new guide that we're publishing on Monday. It says the Unified Knowledge Approach to Education, and it's a guide to explain the principles and the processes and the ways of doing unified knowledge learning. Now, unified knowledge is basically about using cultural arts to teach deep ideas of math and science and language and culture. And so there's detail inside of that. The best way I could give the listeners an example is that if one's familiar with Montessori
yes.
or Steiner as a different approach to learning, right? This is like that in the sense that it is a different approach to learning, and it is specifically about valuing the best of Pan-Africa, the best of our approaches, the best of our values, the best of our heritage, like this. So it's dedicated to the African educational renaissance.
I was looking at this earlier today, and I got like there's a page of the tree and all the branches and that, and I personally didn't fully understand it, so I thought this is one of the things I want to ask you to do. If you could explain this.
Okay.
So
okay. So before I explain it, because obviously the listeners are going to get jealous because we're talking. And
yeah, they can't hear.
They can't see the
explain
thing.
Explain the tree so they can have a vision in their mind.
I'm going to explain the tree. Before I explain the tree, let me explain how everyone can get a copy of this document.
Yes.
Because this is on Monday. This is going to be launched out and made available to everyone who wants it.
Okay.
And it really is for particular people who value culture in education, for people who know there's a better way to do it, but may not have been trained as a teacher, but they know there's a better way to do it, or even for people who are teachers who know that being in a standard system model breaks them, and they want to find a better way to do it. So it's for these kind of people, from the home ed ones to the teachers, even to the managers of schools, even to the managers for the Pan-Africa, even to government interested in reforming the education. This document is for all of those people, and what brings them together is a value of the unity of Africa
Mhm.
and the African culture as being important in education,
Mhm.
and also a value of STEM, which is science,
Yes,
technology,
engineering,
engineering,
yeah.
and math. The value of these things coming together.
Can I just say, you said how you're going to distribute it. Are you aware of the National Association for Black Supplementary Schools?
Yes, we're on
Okay,
that.
so yeah,
We're
so
on that. We're
that's
listed
another
there.
way of making sure the information gets out to the schools.
Definitely, I'll get it to the supplementary schools
Yeah.
through that network. Brother Nia,
Yes.
wonderful work he's doing.
Yes. Yes.
And so yeah, I know we know each other for a
That's
good
good.
time.
That's good.
Yeah, so that image, what you're looking at, or what we're looking at, is a map, a mind map.
Mm.
Some years ago, one of our cadets is a brilliant artist named Amy,
Mm.
and I asked her to apply her art and help us map out the whole plan. We have a grand plan for reforming education on a local level, on a national level, on a community level, all levels. I said to her, here is all the detail of this thing, and I drew it out by lines, stick lines, to say this is the basic map, and I'd like you to make a tree. And she did. This piece of art took a long time to do. But what we're looking at here is a tree where the branches at the top all have like key elements of the plan, the master plan for reforming African education. Below it are also branches going into the roots. So you've got the tree, you've got the trunk of the tree at the top, you've got the branches going up with different elements covered there, and below also you've got branches going down as the roots. So it's a big tree as a mind map, and those things, they cover key things. You've got things relating to the way you can use the service as a specific form or a special form, the way that it connects to other institutions, the way that it connects to the culture, what is the culture of it, being Pan-African and Kemetic for classic reference. It goes into the objectives of it. What are the objectives of the approach to learning? The development of peace, the development of principled living, the knowledge of humanity overstood, productive capacity. These are terms, I'm using these terms, but there is a reasoning that goes around them. And so the tree has all of the detail of that. But the rest of the document basically explains what's in that tree to a light degree. It goes through, it touches through. I should explain that this is an introduction. And so as deep as it is, it's an introduction which we back up with a course called Educating with Unified Knowledge, Foundation Course 1. And so this introduction leads on to that.
All these at the back, are they all your partners or supporters?
These are different elements of our program.
Oh.
So all of this is different elements of our program. For example, there is the icon at the top left. It looks a bit like a honeycomb, and it's showing the network idea, the way that we are an umbrella organization, and below the umbrella there are member trusts, what we call member trusts. Each member trust is a learner cooperative in itself, with its own constitution, its own governing team, and they follow a standard model of our constitution, which is well adapted for this business of education. And so we support them through that. And this icon is given a way to visualize the network of member trusts. The next one underneath that is relating to our Level Being 9 program. So we have a program where we teach the core ideas of mathematics to younger children in a shorter time and to a deeper level. And our proposition is that we can do full-time learning. Last year we piloted a program of full-time learning for some cadets, where they can do their GCSEs, they can move towards the GCSEs in that shorter time, in that better way. So that's what that is about. And each icon represents something.
So, yeah,
there's
so
warrior dance, there's the You Learn Naturally radio, we have a radio provision as well. The projects that I'm going to speak to you about later, the parent teams for raised attainment, that's one of the icons is related to that. We have a hair structure science course, so we look at the science of black hair, and we go into that in detail. Yeah, the information is like this dark and wild. There's some social gatherings, so there's an icon for that. And So it is.
Okay, it seems like there's a lot packed into this
Yeah.
model of learning.
Yeah.
Where does the learning take place?
Right. So we're based at the Chestnut Community Centre.
Yes.
That's Tottenham N15 5BN. Yeah.
That's 280 St Anne's Road, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. That's right. And I was going to tell people where they can get this document now. We've outlined it. So I've opened up a WhatsApp forum, and people can join the WhatsApp forum. And then on Monday, we'll release a document into that forum.
Okay.
So the WhatsApp form, the link for it is blackopenuniversity.eu/social media/BOU radio show. I know it's a bit long, but
yes.
It's better than me giving you all those jibby jabby kind of letters and numbers for the link. So if you get that link, you can check in with that.
And what we can do also, if you was to give us like that link or on a one sheet or whatever, is it anywhere here? Because we can put it on our website. We can put that on our website. So even if people don't really get it now,
okay,
they can always go to our website, because on our website, and this is for you also listeners, if you've got any information that you want to advertise, if you get it into Bless Radio, we can put it on the website, so it's, you know, you can see what is being advertised.
Yeah. Well, I've just tweeted it out.
Okay.
So the link is in the tweet, and I know on the front of Bless, all the tweets are on there.
That's
so
right.
The latest tweet from Black Open University has the link that lets you get to this
Good,
document.
good.
So join the WhatsApp forum, and you'll get special treatment. Yeah.
Okay, it's just good to know, because sometimes when we read something out, people are like, oh, I didn't get a pen. Oh, I didn't get it, so I wasn't recording it, so they might miss that information.
Yeah. And I'll give my number.
Yeah.
We'll give the number as well. I mean, we might as well do it now. My office number is 020-8815-3939. That's 020-8815-3939. And that's the Black Open University Abundant Centres UK Development Trust.
Mm-hmm. When is the office open?
From 10 till very, very late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that's the unified knowledge. You were going to talk a bit about the parent team.
Well, I do. We are going to talk about the parent team.
We're not there yet.
We're not quite there.
Oh,
we're not
sorry.
quite there, because what I wanted to do with this is just, I don't know if you got to. There's two sections here that I wanted to touch on, and I wondered if you had any questions about them. So you see,
when you sent it to me today, I skimmed it. I didn't read it all word for word verbatim. I just skimmed the whole document.
No problem, no problem. So there's
What
a page.
are we talking about? A wonderful put together document, listeners. Very colourful and very bright, and very informative as well. So when the document's released on Monday, do try and get yourself a copy. Yeah.
It's a revolutionary document. I know maybe I should be more modest about it, but in this day and age, people may not realize when something is nearby that they need. So I should make it clear, try and bring our attention to it. It's a revolutionary document. It contains many, many years of work, research, and tested ways of doing things in a better way with proven results. So it's not something that is just cooked up. And those things, you're going to be able to check testimonial and things like this to see how people have experienced this approach to learning. We're keen to work with parents. We're keen to work with families, children and parents together, so that the parents can learn the approach to learning and then support the child in a deeper way with the classes that they do with us. Also, we're keen to work with schools. Often we've gone into regular standard schools, supporting with teaching maths through dance or drama or drumming or different kinds of reasoning, different kinds of academic form.
Okay, yeah, because everybody doesn't all learn the same, and that's what they need to, that the education system needs to take on board. That not everybody learns the same, so people learn differently. So it's good to do different approaches. So
the section I thought I'd probe you on, see if you had any question on, is the matrix of principles. We've got 10 principles that we use to achieve our objectives. I said some of the objectives earlier on, and obviously we're moving swiftly through it. It's a light introductory show to that. But I thought some of these words must be new to most people. Maybe if you pick something that you think is interesting, then we can talk on it.
Or Hashima.
Okay.
Let's start with the first one.
So Hashima is derived from the Swahili word heshima. It means respect. We use it as a code of conduct, and it's something that's as simple as it sounds. It's an essential language to bring back into the culture. You know, back in the day, people would say that respect. We do that in our peer group. We do that.
But what does respect mean?
That's right. And it's more than just doing it socially. It should be in the fabric of education as a code of conduct, a code of honor, a way of showing gratitude. And inside of that, we say that inside of Hashima is Ma'at. So Ma'at is a Kemetic principle of truth, justice, order, and right. And so we're bringing that deeper value into the regular conduct. Yeah. It's important as well to use African language.
Yes.
So we're using the word, instead of just saying respect, we're using a very powerful African language to do that. Yeah.
What about, is it Gizat?
Gazette.
Gizat.
Okay, Gazette. So the Gazette, obviously for the listeners, we're just dipping in, we're diving in and playing around with these terms, because to go through them all point by point will take a long time for a show. But I'm happy to do it like this. Gazette means province. Province is a region of space, land, air, and mind that the warrior perceives as their responsibility. So that's a specific thing I'm saying. And so it's a way of redefining what we mean by space. In the standard system of education, space is something you think is around you. And it's something in mathematics, you view space as something like in a geometry.
Yes.
But in our culture, space is not separated from mind. So when we talk about space from a deeply cultural place, we value that it's land, air, and mind. And then we explore what that means on several different, what we call domains. The personal land, air, and mind. The family's land, air, and mind. The community's land, air, and mind. The nation's land, air, and mind. The earth's land, air, and mind, and on. And then when you reason it like that, there's a logic to it, and it makes it easier for a child to properly perceive space.
What space is about. Yeah.
And then to, more to the point, to understand when other people are talking about space. So when you might, if you're listening to the news and they're talking about someone encroaching on someone's airspace, that means they're talking about a nation and their space around the nation, and they're trying to defend that. There are agreements for this. But on a more personal level, there is also an atmosphere around each person. Yes. So we use this kind of form to go deeply into the idea, because space and the reclaiming of our space is at the heart of the challenges that we face. I think it can be buildings. Like I have a lot of interests in community centres, and I'm involved in several different centres in terms of knowledge of how it's going and some of the management like this. And it's challenging even to keep community spaces running.
Yes.
Right. And that's a space. In that it's a community centre, it has an airspace, it has a land space, and it has a mind. Each community centre is different. You might not think about it like the mind of the community centre, but when you blend all of the activity into it and all the dynamics, there's a certain thing about it. Just like that's right. Just like in a family, the family unit has a certain mentality distinct to the family that's different from the next family. But we don't really have a way that we talk about these things. That has to come early into the education to understand the essentialness of this. What space is. Gazette, the word gazette embodies all of that thing.
Space.
Also, it's about what I said at the beginning, the province, the gazette, the warrior's province is a region of space, land, air, and mind that the warrior perceives as their responsibility. That means that if you own responsibility, then it's your space. Now, in other cultures, they will define space and say, actually, that's not your space. You can't come here because it's not your space. This is our space.
Yes, yes.
But we can't you can't live that way. As a Pan-African cultural beings, deserving freedom on the earth, you can't accept artificial borders. And so there has to, before you can sort of just push against someone's force and they're saying you can't go there, you have to have a proper clarity about why you are, by birthright, you have freedom of movement on the planet. Now that's a sovereignness. I'm talking about sovereignty. And this is the nature of an African-centered education. It has to generate a sense of sovereignty in each being, each child, each family, each community unit, each nation unit. They have to have sovereign power. If you're not talking it at the essential level, it won't come.
And we're not talking it because we don't know about it.
That's right. That's right.
Well, there's just so much to learn, isn't there? There's so much to learn.
That's right. There is. And so we've gone deep in. That's why I thought I'd let you just pick some words, because any word that you choose on that list, each one of them goes into some deep place of reasoning and clarity.
I've noticed that you've got nothing by harmony with nature.
Harmony with nature. When you say there's nothing by it, it's because some of them have notes by it. I'll just explain for the listeners. Some of them have a little extra note. The reason there's no extra note for that is because our community resonate to this word. Harmony with nature. Every black person is going to say, yeah, that's good. That's us. We're about that. Even if they're not really. Even if they're afraid of insects. They're still going to say harmony with nature.
Spiders.
Yeah, that's right. But they're still going to say basically harmony with nature.
And then we stand on the ant.
That's it. You see, this is the contradiction. This is the contradiction, and that's why we have to put it there. Not something that is just in the back of the mind that everyone loves nature, but actually, what does it mean? Are we contradicting it when one panics because there's a flying thing in the room?
Or we get the Hoover and suck up the spider.
Yeah. All of those things. All of those things.
I'm harmony by nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, don't come in my space.
Don't come in my house. Yeah, it's my house. That's it. But in actual fact, all the creatures, they've got freedom of movement as far as they express themselves. They move freely where it's available to go, and living creatures should do that. If the wind takes some flying thing over the channel and it ends up in France, it's going to settle down. If it can settle in the place, it's going to do it, and that's it. And so it is with living things. And we human beings, we've entered a phase where we are allowing some human beings to manage other human beings like cattle.
And other humans.
That's right. And they are other humans. Other humans are managing humans like cattle. And this is a very deep problem. And not just because it obviously sounds wrong, but it's a deep corruption of how things have to be.
How things are.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have to be that. It's just how things are.
But we ignore some things like that. And so the language of unified knowledge is, when I say pedagogy is an educational term to do with the way of teaching, the way of the teacher, the way the systems of learning, and this kind of thing. And this educating with unified knowledge, the unified knowledge approach to education, this guide, gives new language that clarifies everything that we need to clarify to reset the system. I meet so many people who say, we need our own school, we need a black school. I'm in that world of people who are interested in education. And maybe some people that say, oh, I'm going to go to Ghana, I'll go to Gambia, I'm going to go to Nigeria, I'm going to set up a school there, But without a pedagogy, most of those people will go and try and build a European school with a European pedagogy, because we are thinking that the thing that we see as school is the definitive school.
That's right.
But it's not. There's from a different pedagogy comes a whole different way of structuring things. So what we need is not new buildings. We don't need buildings yet. We do need buildings, but building is not the front. We try to get the building and then see what we can put in it. What we need is cooperatives learning to work with one mind around things that they value, things that is their objectives. And that, when I say learning to do that, I mean knowing the collective must know that they are in a learnership towards that thing,
Mm-hmm.
rather than thinking, let's come together and work together.
That's right. That's right.
We're not in a position like this.
No, and you've got to be of like mind.
We've got to get there. We have to face the fact that we're not able to come on a practical level. Let me give you another practicality. I teach Dankira Tawagi, which is African warrior dance. It's African martial arts. It's dance based. A little bit like capoeira. We're family for capoeira. Coming through different lines of heritage. Dankira Tawagi. If we have a group of people who come into the circle, any bodies, more than likely, it is unlikely that we could all step in and out together immediately. If I said, everyone step in, everyone step out, let's do it together. I've never seen a random group of people come together and just do that. Even people who know each other, but don't know each other like that. Like some people are in an organization and they meet around a desk, or they meet in an office and they do some stuff, but they never exchange voices with each other, harmonies, or dance movement. So they never know each other in that way. So the act of doing that is something that brings a deeper unity, a deeper idea of the unity. And this is a very, very, very important thing. So yeah, that is my point about the unity, the business of province, space, sovereignty. These ideas and these values, they are ancient values, Pan-Africa, that need to be brought to the front. I would say that, for those who don't know, Europe over the last 10 years or so has been going through educational reform. It's been all the talk for various countries to do reform, educational reform, because their performances are not good in Europe relative to other parts of the world.
That's right.
Like Shanghai and certain parts of the world are doing much better educationally, which it sets up the idea that in the future their children will take over the business of the planet. So Europe's been doing educational reform. We're here in Europe, in England, and this country's position in Europe educationally is not great, let alone for black people in this country. I'm trying to set the context of what we're in. We're in a country whose general national performance educationally is not at the best compared to other parts of Europe. And inside of that, we are doing worse. I know, just to say, I know those things because our trust, our organization does research for this. We take the data from the council, we analyze it, we put out reports for it.
I saw a table the other day, I think about 2 years ago. I think there was about 30 different countries, and America was, I think, 1 or 2 from the bottom, and England must have been just a little bit higher than it. But like you said, all the other countries are doing very well. So Europe is doing very poorly.
That's right, and we there's some OECD and PISA reports. These are the reports that they use to monitor every year. They're monitoring the performance. I watch these things, and yeah, we're in a boat that's not fit for purpose. It's not fit for purpose, and it's definitely not fit for our purpose in terms of restoration of damage. Now, what that means, let's be practical. Some families would just like to hear the practicality of the thing. If you have children, and your children are in primary school, going into secondary school, I mean, the thing, obviously, education begins from the dots, from inception, even before conception.
That's right.
But let's not go too far back for that. But if you have children in the school, primary school going on to secondary school, you will realize that there's some testing that they're being put through
all the time.
Right, and that testing is to decide what their outcomes are going to be, what their potentials are, what pathways to put them on. In the standard system in this country, they have tiers, a higher tier and foundation tier.
That's right.
And if your child is put into the foundation tier, then they can only score a certain level.
They can't go any higher.
And they can't go higher than that. And that pigeonholing is done at the beginning of the secondary schooling. if they enter a place like that, it's very hard for them to come out of it.
Mm.
They have to express some exceptional learning enhancement
Yeah.
to get out of that position. Now, I would put it to you that if you want to put it like this, implicit bias, educational bias, racism is at play when they are making even the decisions about that, or perhaps simply just a lack of empathy for the potentials of our communities, our children. And so if you just drop your child off and let them go in and then pick them up afterwards and ask them how it's been, then to me, we're failing ourselves for this. And it's very difficult. And I know that on many levels. It's difficult. I'm not trying to put pressure on families to say, oh, you're doing the wrong thing, waving the finger. I'm not trying to do that. But my manner is to try and put the facts on the table. And so...
And give them something to think about and look into.
Well, give us something to think about. This is where it's cooperative. Because my argument for us is that we need to work together as cooperatives. And in doing that, we can help each other learn. And we can defend the things we need to defend when issues come up. In fact, really, we can build a better model. And that model is outlined in this document. That's it. It's a document that outlines the model. We've been using it. It works very well. And there's much more room for it to grow. So I'm inviting people to read it and get involved.
How long have you been, you said you've been using it and it's been working. How long have you been using this model?
Well,
or made parts of the model or whatever?
Well, let's see now. I graduated from a cultural arts school called Kazimba Ngoma in 1996 after about 4 years of practice in cultural arts. And in a similar time, I was entering a business called People Science, doing research on Black children and Black community. And in the research, as I said at the beginning, the research showed certain data and the cultural practice showed certain things as well. So from that point, we've been doing this work. I've been doing this work. And now there are other people involved as executives in it or members in different cooperative branches like this. So personally, my practice goes back to this place. But I would say that actually, and this is where we have different values to standard system. I'm clear that I've had values from when I was a child that have come to pass. They've come to pass as to realise certain things. In a school, a child can realise when the teachers are not really getting what they're about. And I've seen that. That's right. I've seen that. I've seen children reporting that. I've known that, and they can't know why they don't know. The child can't really know why the one in authority doesn't seem to get it or is doing something in a funny way until you're an adult.
That's right.
And if your parents can't explain it to you, if your parents don't have backup to have the clarity, they can't explain it. You have to wait till you're a big person, far out of the school, to realise, oh, that's what was happening back then. This is a big problem. We shouldn't have such a long learning cycle. You need to, when children report certain things going on in schools, they need to be heard, and we need to have a way to respond. If it's a real thing, a serious thing, we should be able to know this is an important thing. Let's respond immediately.
To it, and see if we can change it.
Not 20 years later, that child gets to know and just is broken.
Because nobody didn't do anything at the time.
That's right. So it may seem that I'm speaking harshly on the standard system, and I do have a lot of critique for it. So some people, certainly standard system workers, will find it hard to hold it. But
I think a lot of them understand, but that's their 9 to 5, that's their money, that's their mortgage money, that's their journal. So I think a lot of them do understand that what's going on in schools is not correct.
Yeah, that's right. But
I've spoken to quite a lot of, as like a supply teacher, I would sometimes go into schools, and when I hear that, you talk to teachers and you say to them, well, why don't you do anything about it? Oh no, it's no point. So they know. A lot of them do know. I don't think that you could be in an education system today, teaching in schools today, and you don't know what's going on. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. And this is why this document is also definitely for teachers. We're breaking new ground in pitching a pedagogy towards both the parents and teachers. And so I want to I want to recruit the teachers out of the standard system and give them a road to freedom so that they can
Teach
develop.
naturally.
That's right. Instead of teaching in a way that will burn them out, that they will be disrespected, they will be given the harder ones to work with, and then not being acknowledged for the success that they've been getting with them. They will be undercut with the budgeting. They will be disrespected in the standard system schooling. So you don't need to stay there. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you think you do because it's money, like you just said. Maybe it's realities. But reality is a funny thing. Really, it is a funny thing. In science, reality is
not real.
Reality is a funny thing. It's a funny thing. So we should value our own sense, our own way of knowing. This is really the point. We have certain ways to come to know, and it's for us to value them to the place that we're doing things in the way we know works, rather than someone come along and say, oh no, that doesn't work, even though we don't see it working for a long time, and then we put them in another place, it doesn't work, they give us some coded system of grading, some coded system of progress 8, attainment 8, which no parents get. I did this report on the flaws in attainment 8. Attainment 8 is the pathway for attaining results and how it's going to go, and progress 8, how they're doing amongst certain grouping of key subjects. We did this report by studying the council's data, and then I simplified it in the report. But in the process, I spoke to parents, I spoke to governors in schools, I spoke to teachers, I spoke to people who have professorships, and no one could explain this thing to me. No one. And this is the standard system of work. This is what the children are being put through. But we don't get it. We've just trusted that it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in the education system that's not okay, that we just seem to follow on and go on with. It's quite sad because a lot of people are failing, not just our children, but even the white children are being failed.
Oh yeah.
You know?
But you see, even when you, there's a whole majority of the population being failed. Our community is put at the lower end of that, the extreme end of that.
That's right.
But there's a whole majority of people being failed. But the issue is also that there is at the same time a minority who are being streamlined to pathways of power. They're being given that in the new system. They have what is called level 9. And that's why we have a program called Level Being 9. Because level 9 is above what we would have called an A star back in the day. And the level is better than what existed before. And I thought about it. Why would you introduce a new higher level? So what that does, when you introduce a new higher level into the grading scheme, it means that you want to stratify the best.
The cream of the crop.
That's right. Because you know you're going to get some people who are good, but you want even the best of the best to be better than the best.
Yes.
And then those lot, obviously, are way better than the herd.
Yes.
Right. And then from there you can streamline how you
those
can allocate.
are going to be the people that's going to run the country.
That's right. Run the country, run the banks, run the businesses.
Run it,
Right. Now, in the process of doing that, our best, our cream of the crop, who are in there, they're in the herd, but they've not been identified, which is done under strategic neglect.
Or they have been identified, but nobody's not pushing them any further or streamline them into the cream of the crop.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because I'm sure as a class teacher, you can't tell that this child is excelling more than those others. Do you understand? You should be able to tell that this one's a genius.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. I'll give you an example of how that goes. I was in a school, and I met a child who was identified as having issues, behavioural issues, Nigerian boy, and he was very good at the drumming. But my workshop was about mathematics and the drumming, and how the drumming is mathematics, and the depth of the mathematics that it is.
Yes.
So at the beginning, he told me clearly that he wasn't good at the math, but then he was brilliant at the drumming. And by the end of the session, he had to embrace the fact that he was a mathematician. Now, there was no way the school could get him around to that. So they couldn't identify it. because they couldn't connect that this thing that he is invested in and he expresses talent in is the math. All the core ideas of number, measure, and ratio are inside of the play,
That's right.
and that inside of that, you can use it as a vehicle
Mm.
to explore all the practicalities of math,
Mhm.
which is more than just arithmetic. Maybe I should just explain, because I've touched on things of arts and metaphysics, and people may think it's just not practical. So with mathematics, we simplify the first level of learning to what is number, what is measure, and what is ratio. And the question, what is number, is a question that I've asked children in secondary school who are coming to the end of their secondary schooling, and they can't give me a good answer. They come to the end of secondary
They've
school.
been in school for 15 years.
That's right, and they can't give me a good answer. They will obviously say it's what you're using, it's just things you use like this. But there's a detailed answer. Let me give the detailed answer so our listenership can have the advantage. First of all, number is a tool of perception. So number is a tool of perception. Perception means coming to know through one's senses. And a tool, well, we know what tools are. So you have to blend those ideas together. It is about quantifying, positioning, and that which is beyond one and that which is inside one. So that's the summary. That is a classic, that's drawn from a classic place of defining number, a comedic place of value of number. Number is a tool of perception, quantifying, positioning that which is beyond one, multiples of one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that which is inside one, half of one, quarter of one. And this principle, when a child gets this, they're clear. So we are cadets, they learn to say it, and then we drill into it, because every situation with numbers is going to come back to knowing this thing.
That's right.
So they have the definition.
I can see it now.
Right, okay. They have the definition, and every reality dealing with number is going to come back to this thing, which they're now solid in. Whereas the other child, the older child, they never have that baseline to be clear what is number. Yeah.
It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And the first statement, a tool of perception. When a child gets the idea of this, it means that if you see numbers, it's trying to help you see something. When people are using numbers, they're trying to help you perceive something. So some people, when they see numbers, they just glaze over for that, like it's just numbers, what's that? But if you start to get into what it's trying to show you, you'll be interested, especially if it's something that relates to you. And this is I've seen this reality all the time. Yeah. So that's number. Measure is a process of comparing relative size. Now, in measurement, we use the metric system in this country. But the metric system is a modern system. And the basic idea is comparing one thing to another thing, which means you can take anything and use it as a unit of measure. You can make something, a pencil, become a 1. The length of the pencil is a 1. Then you can measure the height of the door in pencil lengths.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. And a child has to get this idea that they have the power to choose the units. And then when they're completely mastered that, as in multiple units, let's say you get to the top of the door and it's let's say it's 19 and a half pencils high. Then they have to know, oh, it's not a full pencil up, it's like inside one. Yeah. It's inside one pencil. So they've got the inside one. When they get that principle, then we do the metric. We agree. You have to agree to use metric. Otherwise, it becomes everything. Because it is around us for everything. Children will think that that is what number is. And it's not, because the metric system is base 10, but you can have other number base, and they should learn that. We use in our drumming binary for drumming, 1s and 0s, 2 sounds, bass and tone to do number work. So this is measure. Then there is ratio. Ratio is a rule of relationship. Parts to each other and parts to the whole. Ratio is a rule of relationship. Parts to each other and parts to the whole. That's a very deep Kemetic place. That is ma'at. That is the order, the way things relate to each other. In a school, they're not going to tell them about ma'at and ratio. And if you don't get this fundamental clarity, then you're going to see some things that are ratio, and you're not going to know they're talking ratio. But our argument, which is fact, everything in the domain of the GCSE math simplifies to number, measure, and ratio.
That's right.
There are a number of big ideas in mathematics, and those big ideas, you have to know number, measure, and ratio to get into grips with these big ideas. Then when you get the big ideas, then you can handle some activity, some testing or some development, some visualization. We have charters. I'm going into it now, but anyway. Yeah.
Let me just remind the listeners, you're in tune to Blitz Radio. So it's www.blitzradio.co.uk. This is the Community Information Show with Lady Leo. And our guest today is Astehmari from the Unified Knowledge.
Well, it's Abundant Centres UK Development Trust, and also the Black Open University, which is a division of Abundant Centres. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm speaking to. Okay. So he's just explaining his new program that's going to be advertised on Monday or rolled out on Monday.
Well, we're this publication. I'm here tonight because this is your wonderful information show, Lady Leo. Your wonderful information show. I want people to know that there's some new information coming out on Monday, and it's this document which we've been talking about. And the document explains the unified knowledge approach to education. So some of these terms, some people will say, "Oh, I've not heard that. What's he talking about?" The document explains it on a level where you can get the basic idea. And then if you see a value from that basic idea, there is a course to go much deeper into it. Right. And it is for the parents. Every African parent, black parents, should think about what it means to teach from an African place of being. What does it mean? And inside of that, it's going to touch us for a little humility, because many of us, we've been schooled here, and so our African place of being is a little bit bumped.
That's right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Virtually nil.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to say that I'd like to feel that the essential core cannot be disturbed. But you can have a lot of gunk around a thing. Anything any machine, any vehicle, any tool, if you put too much gunk around it, it's not going to work again.
That's right.
So, yeah. But I think essentially, with a good washout, we'll be all right. So, yeah, we're here talking about the document, and the document is talking about unified knowledge, and I'm giving some examples. I think I'd like to, now that we sort of touched on this, you chose a couple of words, and there's more. There's 10 principles, what we call principles, processes, and protocols, and they're listed in the document. You chose a couple of them, and I spoke through to that. But let me touch.
Should we just say what they all are? Let me go into them, but
read them,
just
please.
in case. Okay.
Yes, please.
So number 1 is Hashima. If I do get any wrong, just let me know.
No problem.
You've got 2 here. Ma'at. There's Ma'at as a universal order, and Ma'at as the mathematics.
Which is Hisab. That's right, mathematics.
And then you got
that. By the way, I'll touch on it as you go through. So those two, right? It's got Ma'at twice, and it's got Ma'at as mathematics, because the Kemetic cosmology, the ancient Egyptian classic cosmology way of viewing the origins of life and nature, it places a value on ethics, a high value on justice, order, truth. And when we talk about ethics and justice, we don't think this is a subject that is mathematics, but the mathematics, the proof in mathematics is that as well. It's one thing. Europe, they went through a phase where they split the ethics. They used to have this in their classic culture, where the ethic ideas and the mathematics were together, but they split them. And so they made a conscious decision to separate ethics out of the maths. And it's broken it. It's working okay in terms of how they're doing their own set of math ideals, but it doesn't work in our culture. So by putting a clarity that mathematics and ma'at is one thing, is a revolution in reasoning. That is an important thing.
Mhm. So that's number 2 Ma'at, number 3 is also Ma'at. Number 4 looks like, is it Taiwigi Asab?
Tawagi Asab.
Tawagi Asab.
Yeah, very good. Tawagi Asab is the warrior idea. And let me state that, just to state that the warrior idea is the thoughts and perceptions of the warrior's mind, forming clear desires, intentions, and plans for the establishment and maintenance of peace throughout their province. Through the creation of power and the communication of wisdom, the warrior relentlessly strives to grasp all of the Tawagi Asab in the knowledge that the self of the warrior, I, and the self of the community, I and I, are one.
Okay.
Exiri Masagana Shima Tawagi Asab. Creatively praised, respect the warrior idea.
And just to let you know, listeners, he's not reading anything. This is all out of his head. So he's learned.
Well, and let me go further, because I would prefer, because it's such a special thing, we use some utterances like that. We use them as a vehicle for learning other languages.
Okay.
So, such a thing, if you listen to it again, you'll see that it's talking about important things. The way of the warrior.
That's right.
Right. From an African place of being. And there's a language called Ge'ez, which is the ancient language for Ethiopia. It is the equivalent, or beyond the equivalent, of the Latin for Europe. Latin is the base language for Europe, and we have base languages on the continent. Ge'ez is like this. In our time there, we've sat with the ones who hold this knowledge and had things translated. So let me say that now in the Ge'ez. Teragazi Halina, Bahila, Bosate Amrozi I. The hello Hilnat wala botet Bekinietazi I. La Masrato Fikar wala Asfulu. Anaza Yibalu, Kusutata, Hasasata, Helinata, Watamaratata, Ziwurtu, Botu, Urtu. The Kisitataba Wabahadro Hairu. Lilia, Zembala mentally Araf. Amaka Helena Teragazi Lete Komit Itsamu, Masarata Zi Wazi I, Wahad, Kaneto Etai. Amlak Fatari Yatoidis, Ashima Teragazi Halima. So,
And that was the whole of
the whole of the Tawagi Asab.
Yeah.
I said it in English, I said it in Ge'ez.
Ge'ez.
Ge'ez is like me saying it in Latin.
Yeah.
If I'm a European,
Yeah.
I say it in English, I say it in Latin.
Yes.
That's what's just happened. And by our institution doing the work to get that, it gives an ability for a child to learn a classic language. Classic languages have a different utterance. It's a different sense of reality in the way that meanings are conveyed and the vibes. So it's important.
It's different from the modern foreign language.
That's right. It's different. That's why in higher schools, in university, or in higher level primary and secondary schools, Latin is part of the curricula. It's the base language for medicine, for science. I'm not saying that it's right for us that it is, but it is for Europe.
Yeah.
And so the truth is, if you want your child to do well in those things like medicine and law and science, you need to get them to learn Latin. Now, that's not an African language, but that is a tactical reality.
Yeah.
And that is the reality that those who are groomed for leadership learn that.
It's funny you should say that, because as you were saying that, I'm thinking of films, the period films from the period day, and a lot of them, they went off to learn Latin, and now I understand why. Why Latin all the time? But that makes sense now.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
I haven't studied Latin, but I know from hearing it and from my study of the Ge'ez that classic language has a resonance, and so I get it completely for this. And let's go to the next.
And then number 5 is Gazat, which we know is province.
Yes.
You've explained that one. You've explained number 6, harmony with nature. Number 7 is mind, breath, body, and harmonies.
Yeah, mind, breath, body, harmonies is basically the way that if you do dance, the body and the mind come together through breath. Breathing disciplines allow you to do certain things. If you get the idea, you can advance the way your body works with certain breath disciplines, and likewise the way your mind is working with breath disciplines. So this is a reality of that. And inside of that, it connects to our Dankira Tawagi practice. There are many types of breathing. So we teach cadets and families different types of breath.
We've also got number 8 is the unified knowledge language.
Unified knowledge language is about expanding what language is, so that we can take something like Hashima, we can say it, we can write it with an African script, we can hand sign it. If I show you now, the listeners won't see it, but Ha-shi-ma, I'm hand signing.
Yes.
If I didn't say it and I hand sign it and you know the hand sign,
You can
non-verbal, right? We can turn it into rhythms. I'm clapping, and I'm clapping in a way where there's two sounds. I've turned the units of that word into number and then into binary and clapped it. It's music now. Okay.
And then you've got number 9, which is curriculum, graduation, and accreditation.
It's the value of that. It's the value of those things which most people think when you're thinking of education that it's all about this. So if you're speaking to a teacher, they're going to be thinking about the lesson plans and the curriculum program.
And children passing.
That's right, that's right. But before you get to that, all of the other stuff had to be clear. And then before even these things, before these things are clear, the broader objectives have to be clear. And before that's clear, the culture has to be clear. So when you're clear on those things, then you get to this curricular and accreditation. It all makes sense then.
And number 10, which is not last, it's not least, is the story.
That's right. It's not last, it's not least. It's number 10, but it's everything. The story is the traditional form for Africa. Telling story and having learning embedded into the story. This is it.
Okay, so that's the matrix principle, the 10 matrix principles of the unified knowledge. Sorry, yeah. Okay, we're quickly going to just talk a little bit about the parent teams.
Yes.
And there's one more thing we need to talk before you shoot off out of here.
No problem.
So the parent teams, what is that?
Okay,
How does it work?
Parent teams for raised attainment. This is a new project. We formed a new member trust called Abundance Centres Haringey Development Trust. And we're inviting parents, particularly ones in Haringey, to join this cooperative. We have a project which is called Parent Teams for Raised Attainment, which involves working with parents around local schools throughout Haringey and helping them form cooperative structures, independent cooperative structures around the schools. Now the cat's out the bag, because a structure like this is a structure that will give power to the parents. And now the cat's out the bag, as they say. We need to, once hearing it, to those who will hear this, if you realize what that could mean, you should explore it swiftly and find out more. Our intention is to establish a broad network of parents around all the schools in the borough and allow them to have the power to correct schools, but more importantly, to the power to bring to themselves the resources that will help them raise the attainment of their children. They need independent resources. The school will not bring the resources that they need. So they need to be able to do it for themselves, either by influencing the school or independently, and you need a structure for that.
It's funny you should say that, because as you're talking about this organisation, I'm thinking of a network also where if something's wrong in one school, all the schools in Haringey would hear about it, and all the schools can give support. Because all the parents, because it doesn't matter what school you go to, because obviously if it can happen in one of the schools, it can happen in another.
That's right.
So if there's some form of injustice going on,
that's right,
the network will know about it, and they all can support. So that seems very productive.
I tell you what, part of what that's come from is years of meeting parents who experience issues with their child in schools, and they are in a position where they feel like it's new,
Yeah.
and it's just them,
Isolated, yeah.
and they don't know many people who have that experience.
And they don't
But
know where to go.
I know that there's loads of people like this, and that's the power of the standard system school, that they can effectively pick off
Yeah.
people like that.
Yeah, because that's it, divided you fall. Have you linked up with Black Charlie Gender at all?
I know Sister Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a powerful one.
Yeah.
And the work is fantastic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything more on this project you want to say?
Well, simply that we're inviting people to become members of that.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you contact us,
That's a parent teams for raise attainment. And your telephone number?
that's right. The office number is 020-8815-3939.
And they're there from 10 till late.
10 till late. Yeah,
Mhm.
I should really say 10 till 6, but there's people there till late. But if you call in the daytime regularly, that's the best way to do it. And if you by chance don't get someone immediately, leave a message, and for sure we'll come back and make an appointment. You can come down to the Chestnut Centre. We can meet and discuss any situations that are going on and this development.
Mm-hmm. And the last thing I want to talk to you about your new venture.
Yes.
On radio.
New venture on radio, yes.
One of the three little birds that was singing outside my window told me that you'll be joining Bless Radio.
I'm going to be on Bless Radio, yes, that's right. I'm joining the crew on Bless Radio on Mondays.
Yeah.
So we're still working through a few little things, some induction into the studio. I'm sure Bless will sort that out nicely, and we're going to rock the station on a Monday.
I see you looking at the control.
Yeah,
you have a right to look at the control.
That's right. We look at the controls. Yeah. We like the controls.
Don't be frightened of the controls at all. I mean, I'm not frightened. I don't know how to work them, but I'm not frightened.
No.
But yeah, you'll get it. Yeah.
I tell you what it is. My intention is to have a fantastic show, and
what are you bringing?
Well, for example, the harmony with nature.
Yes.
It's in there as something in the pedagogy.
Yes.
But people, for example, don't really make themselves aware of where the moon is with the earth. I'm not talking about astrology, no disrespect. I'm talking about astronomy, physical science, about where certain things are, and observation. So we're going to have part of our show that does some things like this, just to update us on where things are as we stand. And the purpose of that is to have a broader perspective to where we are. Sometimes you think, oh, we're here in the studio, or we're here in this part of London, or in England. But our children, they need to have a interplanetary view of things. They need to visualize beyond the planet. And so there's a pathway to that. And that pathway involves us generally being more aware of what's going on around us, far out. And on that note, I have to say, I will get into trouble from our coordinator. We've got a festival coming up in spring.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
in the spring half term, we've got a You Learn Naturally Creative Learning Festival coming up. Big up to the ones helping to coordinate that. And in that, we have a project which is about launching a high altitude balloon. So we've secured much
one
of
of
the
those balloons that go up in the air.
Yeah.
The basket at the bottom.
Yeah.
You're going to be going in it?
No, not a
I'm
person.
getting too excited.
No, you're getting excited. It's good. It does have something at the bottom, and there will be something in it, but it won't be people.
Oh.
Right, it'll be things.
I've always wanted to get one of them.
When you can virtually buy our camera. Yeah, we're gonna have a camera. No, we're gonna have a camera in it, and you see the thing with the high altitude balloon is it's a weather balloon.
Okay.
Right. So it's a science project. We've got the balloon. We've got the equipment. We've got actually more than one, and we've got all of the bits and bobs needed for this, tracking equipment, everything. We're setting these things up, and we've got teams around this. But that balloon, basically, it goes up to the edge of the stratosphere, which is where the border of outer space, our atmosphere, and what you might consider outside of that, relatively speaking. When it gets to a certain place, it will break and fall back down to Earth.
Oh no, I definitely don't want to get in that.
No, you don't want to go in that. But the camera's okay. But the point is that the camera will allow us to see the whole journey up. and
And
to
then
see the
coming
edge,
down.
and then they're coming down. But seeing the edge means that the children involved will have a project where they do something that goes into space.
Yeah.
Now,
Have you already got the children for that?
we've got some, but we
Okay.
want more. We want more
Okay,
involved.
yes, well,
Definitely.
We'll do mention it here, and if you've got a leaflet or something together, I can read it out.
There's a web page for it. I'm going to bring you the information for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the dates. We scheduled the dates in that week, that half-term week.
February.
It's February, spring half-term. It'll be on Tuesday morning at Chestnut Community Centre.
Yes.
That's the launching date. And yeah, but it's not
exciting.
It's
very exciting.
I'm excited. But it's not just launching it. It's the preparation. It's the science.
Yes.
So where the learnership comes in now, this is how we do level 9. The level 9 work means that some younger children are learning all about this in order to get it done. Right, and then we get it done, and that's the crystallization of the thing. But getting it done, there'll be some people who will just come on the day and see the thing go up. It'll be fun, it'll be nice for them. But the ones who come in early and get involved in the learning, it's special. It's special. It's special. It
reminds me of a project that happened, I think, early on this year, where groups of children got together. They didn't know each other. They all joined something and built a plane, and they flew the plane. You know, young
we can do those things. That's right.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
we're talking about. Yeah. That's exactly what we're talking about. Give you another example. A couple of years ago, for Science Week, we built a planetarium out of cardboard in the Chestnut Community Centre. A huge dome out of cardboard. And then we went inside it. We had local schools come in, whole classes inside the structure that we built. A geodesic dome is basically a dome made out of triangles that when you stick them together, it makes a curved dome because of the angles of how you've connected them and the way you fit them together. So it's geometry, it's building, it's engineering. We built that structure. Then we had a customized planetary show inside. Because it's rounded, we got this rounded projection mirror. So when you project onto the mirror, it then spreads it all out, so it's surround. And then we did a journey around the solar system. So you're looking up and you're just in space. It's fantastic.
How come I didn't know about that?
Well,
last year you said?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah. I'll let you go maybe
it's coming
information
again.
Show right here.
Well, that's right. You see, we never link it up, but we're gonna. You are the frontline information person.
Am I?
Yes, you are official information channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do look out for Astehmari next week. Are you going to start next week Monday or the Monday after?
Well, you see, I must admit, I shouldn't. I don't even know. I may get into trouble for saying this.
Well, look out for him soon. Put it that way.
Yeah, look out for me
soon.
It's going to be on. It's going to be on Monday. I'm going to say it's on Monday, but like I said, I'm determined to have a really brilliant show, and I want to prepare for it very carefully.
Oh yes, you have
I want to make sure that I'm very familiar with the equipment, and make sure that I know where everything goes.
I've been here nearly 3 years.
I get you.
Don't worry about the equipment. There's engineers to help you.
Okay. Well,
just make sure you got the knowledge. That's what you need. Just bring you.
But you know what it's like though, because you've got things you want to press these things, and I've got things you want to play and insert this into that.
I know what it's like. Sometimes it doesn't work that well.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm gonna make it. We're gonna come. It's gonna be a hardcore show.
Yeah.
It's the front. All of this.
Is it just you on your own, or are you coming with somebody else?
I'm gonna be. It's gonna be me to start it, and then I'll bring members in. From the group. Yeah, from the cooperatives, and I'll bring guests in. We're gonna have a
Sounds
party.
very exciting, listeners. So do listen out for Astehmari right here on Blitz Radio, www.blitzradio.co.uk.
Thank you.
For the near future. I do understand you've got a class that you're going to run us to now, isn't it? So once again, just say your name of your organisation, the telephone number, how they can find you, how they can get the pamphlet before you leave.
Okay, so I am Astehmari. The organisation is Abundance Centres UK Development Trust, and you can also know that by the Black Open University. The office number is 020 8815 3939. There is a WhatsApp group for our new show. It's a bit long, but take it down. It's easy to get. Type in blackopenuniversity.eu/social media/BOU radio show. Yeah. BOU radio show. That's it. Yep. We're there.
You make me laugh. It's easy to know. And then you start looking up at the sky.
Yeah, it's true. I tell you
Yeah.
what, partly I was thinking, as I was doing it, I was thinking, I wanted to deliver a little poetry.
Come on then.
But at the time,
Okay, because you've got to be somewhere, don't
I
you?
got to be somewhere, but on the mathematics, you see the mathematics, and we're going to be profiling a program in our festival where we're exploring the big ideas of mathematics.
Mhm.
Right. So there's some poetry for this. What's the big idea? Original, begin, start from the heart. Ma'at, true indeed, I seed, I fruit. Mathematics, matrix institutes patterns. 1, 2, 3, you learn naturally. Classic. Measure of beauty and the mundane. Look to the max. See? Rational in proportion, be not mundane or vain. Number, to infinity all things count. Still base 10 bound, then more article bases must be found. Through equivalence and comparison of relative values be free to see. Operations mean links of this to that, related eternal families, properties. Revealed through practice operations, add, subtract, divide, multiply, again, ad infinitum. The basic facts, correcting, dum-diddy-dum-dum. Magic, algorithmic, algorithmic. Like hand to wrist when writing, and sometimes tragic wrist to fist when fighting. Process calculated intentions, get the job done. But first, estimations of better made plans, patterns, better played to this, a variable beats. Proportions, correct ratio, I must keep, related to higher functions. Reap that power, reap that power. Equate inequalities in shape and solid form, orientate, locate, and transform. Measure in space-time, consistent in forming upright nations, XYZ, stations of the cross. Collect data, represent ever deeper, inner concentration, in what may seem a mean mode, medial, that coded dance of chance, in the knowledge of one's certainty. Tawagi, yes, that's me, from the heart. I be origin of all, I be Ma'at. I be original, I be Ma'at. I be original, I be Ma'at. I be original, I be Ma'at.
Woo!
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if you stopped then. So
I
that's why-
finished there, like
yeah,
it did.
yeah.
I tell sound man I can rock the mic even with a sore throat. So no worries for that.
Yeah.
But thank you, Lady
Well, thank
Leo.
you so much for your
It's been
interview.
too
Thank you
much fun.
for talking about yes.
I want to come back
It's-
again, even when I have my own show. Can I squeeze in your show still?
You know what? It's anytime you've got community information, that's what I say to people. If you've got something, let me know. If you want to come in, let me know. Not a problem. Not a problem. You can get in touch with us via our telephone number, which is 07944 431 366. Yeah, that's the number. All right, we're winding up now. And thank you so much
Thank you.
to Astehmari for coming in today
Thank you.
and reasoning with us.
So I just my parting word is Hashima. Respect to you, Hashima.
Yes, thank you, Hashima. Yeah, sounds like a female name, isn't it? Mm. Okay, that was our Astehmari, and he will be joining Bless Radio at some point on a Monday show. Will it be next week or the week after? With a lot of information to share and give to you. This is the Community Information Show. We've got about 3 minutes left of the show. And what I think I will do, regardless of us having 3 minutes, might go over because there's quite a few community information bits that I'd like to read out for you today before I leave. I'll see what I can get through because, as you can hear, my voice isn't the best, wheezing a little bit, but I'll just see what I can get through in terms of the dated information, especially anything that's happening this weekend. And as you know, this weekend is the 22nd, so let's go up and see if there's anything. We've got a couple of things for the next weekend, so we'll read that out for the 30th. All right. One of them is the Black Film. Sorry about that. The Black Market and Film Festival by Black History Walks. Okay. Oh, anyway, that's going to be on the 30th of November from 12 to 9 p.m. It's going to be the 17th Black Market and Film Festival. It's taking place at the West Green Learning Centre, Parkview Academy, West Green Road, London N15 3QR. There's over 50 businesses showcasing African art, crafts, African-inspired homeware, jewellery, fashion, skincare, hair care, health products, food, books, DVDs, toys, and professional services and more. They're going to be screening the film, The Black Love, and that's the blueprint film ending the war between black men and women. That's a 2019 film by Darian Chandler. They've also got the screening of Wax Print, that's One Fabric and Four Continents, 200 Years of History. That's a 2018 film by Iwan Obinyan. We've also got the screening of Liliana. It's a 2017 film by Aaron and Amanda Kopp. There's workshops also, how African, Caribbean and diasporan families can talk about racism by Halisi Red. Also, there's going to be presentations, Jumpstart Your Financial Future by the award-winning financial educator, Daryl Harper. Also presentations, The Secret, that's the Law of Attraction meeting Think and Grow Rich by Tony Dada. He's an empowering coach and also a conscious, creative, social entrepreneur. We have children's activities, that's Toys from Trash, making toys from trash by Rihale Bitata of STEM Power. We've also got Tune In, that's cartoon drawing workshop by Peter Payne, and intergenerational family activities by Digital Retreat board games. It says Digital Retreat board games, and that's most probably where we're going to not be playing anything on that's digital, and we're going to be going to the old-fashioned games of board games, and that's a workshop by Teresa Hachette. I'll also be down there supporting her. We're going to have music and entertainment by Ace of Jacks Entertainment and Media. There are plenty of networking opportunities. There's business opportunities as well. Hot food and refreshments are going to be there. I think it's on sale, so do walk with some money for that as well. Free parking at the venue all day. Wheelchair access. It's a family friendly event. So once again, that's next week, the 30th of November. Okay. Now the tickets, if you get your tickets by the 29th of November midday, that's on the Friday, you can get them for £8. There's more thereafter, and also more on the door. Children 16 and elders over 60 are free. All right. So if you want more information, do go on to the Black History Studies. Sorry, very sorry about that. BlackHistoryStudies.com. Their telephone number is 07957 184 770. That's 07957 184 770. And if you've missed any of that information, do go on the Bless website, which is www.blessradio.co.uk. You will see that leaflet there. Okay. That's about it for the 30th of next month. 30th of this month, so what am I talking about? 30th of this month. And just to also let you know that we've got some screenings. If you're out of London, you might be in the Derby area, you can see Sun Ra Pictures, Pharaohs Unveiled, and that's also has questions and answers by the director. Pharaohs Unveiled is a new documentary shedding new light on the pharaohs and queens from the spirit world perspective by award-winning director Menelik Shabazz. The film draws on audio conversations from the spirit world that include Imhotep, pharaohs Khufu and Akhenaten, also Queen Nefertiti and Queen is that Hunutsen, yeah. So if you want to take part in, if you want to go and watch those films, I saw it a couple of weeks back. I think sometime in September, or was it October? Yeah, it might have been October. Very, very, very good screening. Very, very well put together film. This is showing. The next screen is at the Quad. That's on the 30th of November, 6:30 p.m. Entry £10, and that's Marketplace, Cathedral Quarters, Derby, DE13AS. Okay, so that's in terms of next week. Next week and next week and this week. So I just thought I'd let you know about those screenings. What I'll do is what I have done, I've sent quite a lot of community news that's coming to me to our website. So if you would like to check on the website, there's quite a lot going on there. But I would like to talk to you about 12th of December. 12th of December is our voting day. I was talking to some of my friends today, and we were looking at, we were talking about in the wards that you have in your boroughs, in the wards where you live, there are not enough African people. So therefore, there's not enough people speaking on our behalf. If you go down into certain areas, I think one of the areas is Edmonton, there's a lot of shops just opening up, shop to shop to shop to shop, all Turkish shops and things like that. They have a lot of people in each constituency. So it's all about getting people to speak for you. Who's going to be your voice? We need to think about how we approach this voting system, because I know that we've been saying years ago, politics is not for us, but it's politics that is governing us. It's politics that's making us lose out. It's politics that's affecting our housing, politics that's affecting our health, politics that's affecting our education, how we live, where we live. Do you understand? So if we're not interested, people are just going to be making decisions that exclude us all the time. Community centres are being taken away from us. Why not? Why shouldn't they be taken away from us if we can't sit around the table and have a discussion about it? We need to be able to gear our young people, to put them in places of inforums where they can speak on our behalf. And this is one of our main fundamental problems. We have nobody representing us. So why do we complain? Why complain about something that you're not interested in? Now, to say that you're not interested in politics means you're not interested in your liberty or good quality of liberty. Because, nobody should... why should anybody be putting us first? Why should anybody be thinking about us? Think about the times when maybe you were growing up and your mum had maybe just one cake and she was trying to make it share amongst everybody. You're all putting out your hand for yourselves. And that's more or less what it is like in the community. Everybody's grabbing what they can grab. But first you have to be sitting around the table to be able to see it, to grab it. It's no point looking to grab it when it's already been shared out and you're complaining that you didn't get a share of the cake when you wouldn't even come when they were calling you. Do you understand? So these are some of the things we need to look at. How can we help ourselves? How can we help our community? How can we help our children? How can we help our elders? How can we help us? So voting is on the 12th of December. If I can, I'll try and get somebody in to talk about voting. It's very, 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 very important. Yeah. I'm going to bring the show to a close now because time has gone past and time has gone past. I hope that you found this talk that we had today with Astehmari very, very, very helpful and entertaining. I certainly did, had a really, really good time talking with him. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play one tune. Oops. I'm going to play a tune, and then we're going to sign out. Let me just see if I can put this into there and bring it back and take this one up. I think it's this one here. No, for some reason it's not working. No, it's not working. I was trying to play it off a different device, but I'll find something else to give you. So just remember, I'll be back here next week. Friday, with the Community Information Show. I do believe we have another visitor in, but need to just double check and song that up for you before we go. We'll play this one. This is a nice tune by oh yes, this is a nice tune by, forget his name, Mikey Spice, yes, singing a lovely rendition here. Let's see what's happening to this one. There's nothing going to play for me. This is Lady Leo signing out.
And I'm a man who don't like to swear, but I hate the sound of being alone.
What's the one? Roy.
It's all about you. Today's fine, the sunshine most of the time. And the feelings laid. Arms we grow, rain so low, don't you know? I keep working my way back. I'm a Jamaican boy who was born and raised. Nowadays I'm lost between two shores.
Not ready yet. So just started.
LA's fine, but it ain't home. New York is home, but it ain't mine no more. You know, so that fell Leo, Lady Leo, yeah. And no one heard at all night, even the chance. I am my pride.
This is Shazam, proud sister of Lady Leo, host of the Community Information Show. Tune in every Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. Lady Leo also hosts the Children's Cultural Film Club every second Saturday of the month. Children £4, adults free, for all the family. For more information, visit goldonyx.co.uk.
And they all became one. Except for the name, a few other changes. Talk about
That guy was really good, you know. They think.
stories the same one. But I've got this emptiness deep inside. And it won't let me go. And I'm a man who don't like to swear, but I hate the sound of being alone. I am myself to no one there, and no one heard at all, not even the chair. I am my pride. I am sinner, and I am lost, and I can't even say why. I am myself.
What you think? Let's play it out now. You can put them big hands. Is it on there? Oh. Wait. Here we go. Finish.